Every morning, millions of people press anti-aging foundation into skin that is actively thinning, losing collagen, and becoming more permeable with age. The promise on the box says protection. The ingredient list says something different. The same silicone compounds found in industrial sealants and waterproof caulking sit in the first 5 ingredients of foundations marketed as skincare. That is not a conspiracy theory. That is a formulation fact. But the silicones are not even the main concern. We audited 5 of the best-selling anti-aging foundations on the market, and the brand at number 4 is the one that concerned us the most. The industry trap. Before we name the brands, you need to understand the 2 biggest marketing traps in this category. Trap 1, dermatologist tested. Trap 2 contains anti-aging ingredient. These phrases exist to redirect your attention, not to improve your formula. Dermatologist tested is not a regulated claim. It means a dermatologist looked at the product. It does not mean they approved it, recommended it, or would put it on their own face. Any foundation on the market can print those 2 words on the box. The anti-aging ingredient claim is even thinner. Peptides, hyaluronic acid, vitamin E. These are added around the base chemistry, not instead of it. You are looking at a standard silicone and pigment system with a skincare ingredient dropped in at concentrations too low to do anything functional. You are not buying a skincare foundation. You are buying a regular foundation with better copywriting on the box. The 5 brands we are flagging. Number 8. Estée Lauder. Double Wear is one of the most recognized foundations in the anti-aging category. Full coverage that lasts 15 hours. Does not move, does not transfer, does not break down. That lasting power is exactly where the problem starts for mature skin. The formula relies on a heavy silicone base with trimethyl siloxysilicate film formers and a dense pigment load engineered for opacity. Translation: those film-forming silicones create a sealed layer across the entire skin surface. On a 25-year-old with healthy oil production and intact barrier function, that seal sits fine. On skin over 45 that is producing less sebum and already struggling to retain moisture, that same seal traps environmental debris and formula residue underneath it. Adding a hydrating serum before application does not change the seal sitting on top. It means your serum is now locked under the same occlusive film as everything else. The foundation that refuses to budge is also refusing to let your skin breathe. But the next brand on this list charges a premium for essentially the same formula underneath. Number 7. Clinique. Clinique leads with one word above everything else: dermatologist. It is embedded in the brand identity, and it is doing enormous trust-building work for a formulation that looks remarkably similar to the Estée Lauder product we just covered. Pull up the even better ingredient panel, and the first thing you will find is dimethicone as a primary base ingredient, followed by synthetic fragrance compounds and preservative systems that are documented skin sensitizers under repeated exposure. Dimethicone smooths the appearance of pores and fine lines by temporarily filling them. That smoothing effect is cosmetic, not biological. It is not improving your skin texture. It is covering your texture with a layer that some cosmetic chemists argue contributes to congestion and moisture loss on compromised barrier skin. You pay a premium because the word dermatologist is on the packaging. The formula underneath that word is not meaningfully different from drugstore alternatives at a third of the price. That is not a skincare upgrade. That is a trust markup. If Clinique's dermatologist positioning concerns you, the next brand creates an even bigger false sense of security. Number 6. IT Cosmetics. IT Cosmetics positioned the CC cream as the anti-aging multitasker. Coverage, color correction, SPF, skincare benefits, and the tagline that launched the entire brand: your skin but better. Start with the SPF claim because this is where the formulation falls apart fastest. You would need roughly a 1/4 teaspoon of product on your face alone to achieve the SPF number printed on the tube. Nobody applies that much foundation. The sun protection you think you are getting is a fraction of what the label promises. In practical terms, the SPF claim creates a false sense of security that may lead to more sun damage, not less, if you skip standalone sunscreen because you believe the foundation has you covered. Underneath the physical sunscreen system sits the same dimethicone base as every other foundation on this list, plus a thickener system that working makeup artists know starts pilling on textured, mature skin skin within a few hours. The titanium dioxide and zinc oxide concentrations create visible flashback in photographs and a chalky cast on deeper skin tones. The multitasker promise sounds efficient. In practice, it is a formula trying to do 5 things and doing none of them well enough for the skin that needs it most. At least IT Cosmetics is priced as a prestige product. The next brand sells the same problems at a drugstore price point where shoppers read even fewer labels. Number 5. Revlon. Revlon, age-defying, targets the consumer who wants anti-aging performance at drugstore pricing. That positioning matters because price-conscious shoppers make faster decisions at the shelf with less time spent on ingredient panels. The formula relies on talc, synthetic fragrance, and a dimethicone base. Talc is a mattifying filler that absorbs surface oil. On mature skin that is already producing less oil year over year, talc pulls moisture from a surface that does not have moisture to spare. It dries out skin that is already dry and calls it a matte finish. The synthetic fragrance blend is where the risk compounds. Fragrance formulas are proprietary, meaning the brand is not required to disclose which specific sensitizers are inside that single word on the label. On skin that is thinning and becoming more reactive with age, an undisclosed fragrance blend applied every morning is a slow accumulation of irritation risk that you cannot track because you cannot see what you are reacting to. Calling it age-defying describes a marketing goal, not a formulation outcome. Every brand we have covered so far relies on silicones, fragrance, or heavy occlusion as the main concern. The brand at number 4 does something different entirely, and it is the most alarming entry on this list. Number 4. Neutrogena. Neutrogena is the brand doctors mention by name. That recommendation carries enormous weight at the pharmacy counter. The Healthy Skin Foundation includes retinol palmitate as a featured active ingredient. Retinol palmitate is a vitamin A derivative, and vitamin A is one of the most studied anti-aging compounds in dermatology research. But retinol palmitate specifically has been flagged in research for generating free radicals when exposed to sunlight. Translation: free radicals are one of the primary mechanisms behind visible skin aging. You are applying a foundation marketed as healthy that contains a compound which, on sun-exposed skin, may contribute to the very oxidative stress that drives the aging process. A morning product applied to a face that sees sunlight every single day. The word healthy is on the label. The chemistry inside deserves a much longer conversation than the one happening at the drugstore shelf. 3 brands doing it differently. If you've been using any of the brands we just covered and wondering why your skin texture seems to keep getting worse despite doing everything the label says, these 3 alternatives took a different approach. Number 3. Bare Minerals. Bare Minerals built the brand on a simple premise. Fewer ingredients, mineral-based coverage, no liquid silicone system sealing everything to your face. The original loose powder foundation uses titanium dioxide, zinc oxide, iron oxides, and bismuth oxychloride as the core formula. It skips the dimethicone base, the synthetic fragrance blend, and the film-forming polymers that create an airtight layer across mature skin. Mineral powder sits on the skin surface differently than liquid silicone formulas. It allows airflow, creates less occlusion, and does not trap moisture or debris the way film-forming foundations do. It will not give you the full coverage opacity of a double wear. For mature skin, that is actually the point. Lighter coverage that lets your real complexion come through almost always wears better and looks more convincing under natural light than heavy pigment settling into every crease by lunch. Less coverage, fewer problems. That trade is worth making. But if you still want a liquid formula, the next brand found a way to make one without the usual silicone architecture. Number 2. Ilia. Ilia was built around the idea that your base makeup and your skincare should not be working against each other. The Super Serum Skin Tint leads with squalane, niacinamide, and hyaluronic acid before the pigment system begins. When skincare actives appear as the first ingredients on a label, they are present at concentrations that can actually benefit your skin. When those same actives appear at position 32, they are there for the marketing copy, not for your face. Ilia puts the actives first. That distinction matters more than anything printed on the front of the box. The coverage is sheer and the finish is dewy. It is not trying to be a full coverage product. For anyone who has spent years layering heavier and heavier foundations and watching their texture get worse every season, a formula that works with the skin instead of sealing over it can feel like a long overdue correction. It costs more per bottle. It costs less per year when you factor in the corrective skincare you stop needing. Both Bare Minerals and Ilia solve the problem by simplifying the formula. The brand at number 1 took a completely different approach. Number 1. Luxe. The Luxe color-changing foundation does something none of the other foundations on this list do. The pigment adapts to your skin tone on contact, responding to your individual pH and skin warmth, instead of sitting as a static shade that drifts throughout the day. That matters for mature skin specifically because traditional foundations oxidize. That orange shift by mid-afternoon that so many women just accept as normal is not a skin problem, it is a formulation problem. Adaptive pigment sidesteps it entirely. The texture is lightweight, and the formula sits with fine lines rather than pooling into them, which is the opposite of what heavy silicone bases do by hour 4. It is not a perfect product. Nothing on this list is. But for anyone who has cycled through every anti-aging foundation on the shelf and watched each one cake, crease, or turn orange by lunchtime, this one is genuinely worth trying. It is actually cheaper on Amazon than buying direct, so we left a link in the description if you want to check it out. How to audit your own foundation. You do not need a cosmetic chemistry degree to do this. Read the first 5 ingredients on your foundation. If dimethicone or cyclopentasiloxane appears before any skincare active, the formula is a silicone product with skincare decoration. The actives are there for the label, not for your face. Check whether the word fragrance or parfum appears anywhere on the ingredient panel. If it does, and the brand will not disclose what compounds are inside that word, you are applying an undisclosed blend of potential sensitizers to thinning skin every morning. Look at how your foundation wears after 6 hours. If it is settling into every fine line, cracking around your mouth, or sitting heavier at the end of the day than it did at the beginning, that formula was not engineered for mature skin. It was engineered for younger skin and marketed to you with anti-aging vocabulary. Foundation companies know the average consumer reads promises, not ingredients. Anti-aging, dermatologist tested, skincare infused. These words are doing marketing work, not formulation work. The brands worth trusting are the ones removing the irritants by choice, before the complaints pile up, before the reformulation becomes mandatory, and before another woman spends a decade wondering why her skin looks worse, despite doing everything the label told her to do.